get us started. Folks, if you would please identify yourselves and the agency that you are with, and we will get your first question rolling. We've got it right here, third row, Coach, right in the middle, to the right.
Jeremy Granderson, ESPN Charlotte, right here, Coach. Armando Bacon led the ACC in rebounds last season. Of course, that's a big loss for your team, but how do you plan on replacing his production, and do you still plan on having a traditional five there and maybe trying to implement more spacing in the front court?
Well, one of the things that I've said a number of times is Armando was one of one. He's not somebody that you can replace. You talked about his rebounding, which was at a historic elite level. Actually, Harrison Ingram led the ACC and ACC games in rebounding, and they were 1 and 2. And so, one of the things that, for us to be successful, we've always identified it. We've got to be a great defensive team. The second thing is we've got to be a great rebounding team. And losing Armando and Harrison, others have to step up. It's a huge part for us. I've always said it's the number one determining factor. And the outcome of the game is rebounding on both ends, attacking the offensive glass as well. And so, but I'm really excited about this group, the versatility, the depth, the athleticism that allow us and put us in a position to continue to be good in terms of rebounding the basketball.
Coach, we'll stay right there, just to our right in the third row.
Hey, Coach, TJ Wilkerson from the Sports Nerd Podcast.
Yeah.
One of the things you had going into this season that I read off the News and Observer, listen to RJ, watch RJ. Can you talk about RJ Davis's transition to the leadership role from last year into this year?
Well, I mean, it's not a transition from last year to this year. RJ has been that type of leader in the 5 years that he's been here. One of the things that we talk at great length with each one of our players is that for them to be elite in 3 areas, on the court, off the court, in the classroom, and I can't think of anybody better than RJ. He's checked all 3 of those boxes for 5 straight years. But, it's, him being in his 5th year, it would be very easy. He's had a historic career, ACC Player of the Year, first team All-American. For him to stay in that spot and be disconnected with the others, and his ability to reach out and connect the 3 freshmen, the 3 transfers, the 4 walk-ons, and being able to bind us together as a team has been something that's been really special to all of us.
Coach, we'll stay on the right side, second row.
Terrence Hatchett, the Juice Network. Coach, we heard Jim Phillips say that the perception of the league has been undervalued. Despite that, the last several years, we've seen ACC teams advance to the Final Four and even the championship game. How does ACC play prepare teams for March?
Well, I mean, I'm extremely biased. I think the ACC is the best conference in college men's basketball. I know the history of the ACC growing up in North Carolina and right outside of Washington, D.C. My uncle played in the mid-'70s here at North Carolina, and so I understand the history and the significance of being a part of this conference. And it does, for us, to be successful, one of the things that we talk about is, our non-conference schedule and being challenged in that area to prepare us for our conference. And it prepares us when we get to the NCAA tournament and different styles, unbelievable coaches, programs, history, and it puts all of us in a position to be successful in the postseason.
Coach, to your left, second row.
Hi, Coach. Nia Satterfield Brown, Carolina Blitz. Just wanted to ask you, a very different group this year. What's pleased you so far about this group, and what are some areas that you need to work on heading into the season?
Yeah, I've been really pleased with this group in terms of their commitment to wanting to be a team. It's not just on the court, but off the court. It even goes to the meal room where, they will move individual tables together so everybody's sitting at one table. And I know that sounds small and insignificant, but it's of tremendous significance that for us to become a team and having a desire and a passion and a thirst to be one and to be the best that we can be. Also, something that sticks out is just the way that each one of the players has valued the gifts and talents that others have brought to the table. We always say that you have to acknowledge it, you have to celebrate it, And our guys do that every day, whether it's practice or off the court. And so that's just going to be huge for us. And I think one of the things that we're working on is in terms of our the level. It's a quieter team than last year's team, and just the importance of not having the same voice as previous teams, but for this team developing their own voice. And that'll come in time, but I really like the direction that we're going, and I'm excited for this season.
Coach, to your right, your last question will come from the fourth row, right in the middle.
Hey Hubert, Adam Smith in South Carolina. I just want to ask you, we talked about it a little bit the other day in Chapel Hill, but with NIL and just maybe this past year, how have you seen it change just in the last year? It seems like just, it's gotten more transactional. And just what effects do you see there, and how have you maybe had to try to adapt to how it has changed recently?
Well, I think, and you're right, there has been changes and things have, in terms of NIL and the transfer portal. I've talked about in the 4 years that I've been head coach, it's been the explosion of the transfer portal, NIL, the involvement of agents on the backside of a pandemic. So there's been, and you've added 3 more teams to the ACC. So there's been some change in the last 4 years. I would probably say the biggest difference in regards to NIL right now is involvement of agents. That was something that wasn't really present at the beginning, and now it is. And so there's conversations not only with the recruit, with the family, but also with the agent. And when that happens, it does become a little bit more transactional, but recruiting is recruiting, whether it's coming from the high school or the transfer portal, and getting guys like Seth and RJ that have a commitment to this university and this program, and an understanding that it's not just on the court, but it's in other areas in the community and also in the classroom.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
You can switch with RJ, and RJ will spend a few minutes with you. Folks, same routine, if you would, please identify yourself and the agency that you are with, and we will get started. RJ, your first question, right in the front row to your right.
Dan Tortora, WakeUpCallDT.com. RJ, for you, just what's been the most impactful moment at North Carolina so far, the thing that maybe sticks out to you the most on or off the court?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say the most impactful moment for me would be my sophomore year, just in terms of how we came together as a group, as a unit, not knowing our chances of making the NCAA tournament, going to the Syracuse and the Duke game, and the way we believed in one another, especially going to that Duke game, Coach K's last game, of how we came together, and that whole week we sat down in the locker room saying, like, this is our week, this is our time to kind of just shock the world, because obviously they had a phenomenal game against us at home, and we didn't play our best. So just in terms of just that moment we shared after the game, going to Franklin, that's one of the best experiences that I've experienced. Just because you see the love from the school, and from that moment on, I think we just believed and took off from there.
RJ, to your right, third row.
Hi, RJ. TJ Wilkerson from the Sports Nerd Podcast. Being a fifth-year veteran, we've seen 3 freshmen come in. James Brown has big shoes to fill in with Armando Bacot, who you played with for many years. What's his transition been like, and how have you stepped up to mentor him?
Yeah, I mean, James Brown has been tremendous, just in practice. He's been asking questions, he's been learning on the fly, but one thing that I love about him is his eager and his competitive edge. He's always willing to learn, but he's always willing to compete. Even if he makes mistakes, he's going to do it by going hard. And James has been great. He's great defensively. He's able to guard guards on the perimeter and bigs down low. So he's gonna improve and progress throughout his years of playing here. But it's kind of just taking him under my wing a little bit. Telling him how to set the screens, and whenever I snake, to kind of just be there on the roll. But he's learning on the fly. But at the same time, I think you guys are going to expect a lot of great things from James Brown, not just from this year, but for more years to come.
RJ, same row, just to our left.
Jeremy Granderson, ESPN Charlotte. We talked about the loss of Armando and Harrison, but a constant is Coach Davis. Can you just talk about your relationship with him and the identity he wants you guys playing with?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Davis, I mean, we established a relationship since the day he recruited me. When I was just at Stepinac, and we always talk about this when it was a team camp at Archbishop Malloy. And from that point on, we kind of established a relationship that's bonded and it's been strong throughout my 5 years of being here. He's a coach that I can rely on, and he's put me in positions and has put so much belief in myself. Sometimes I didn't have that within me, but he's instilled that in me. And that's something that you can't really ask for a coach. You can just only be grateful for. We built a relationship that goes beyond basketball. And when you have a coach like that, when it's just not strictly just about basketball, when you just want to know about your personal life, making sure you're doing well in school, wants to know about any siblings or family, just stuff like that. Those conversations, they go a long way. And for my 5 years and him being my coach before, I can't really put into words just how much he means to me.
RJ, thank you. You can switch spots with Seth. We'll spend a few minutes with Mr. Trimble. Seth, your first question will come from the right side, third row.
Hey Seth, TJ Wilkerson from the Sports Nerd Podcast. In coming back to Carolina, one of those big voices that you talked about was from Coach Lebo. Can you talk about your relationship with him and why it's so special?
Yeah, Coach Lebo, he's been, my guy since the second I stepped on campus. My freshman year, Coach Lebo, he kind of made his mission every practice to pick on me in some type of way, but he knew it would make me better. He knew I would learn from it and grow from it. So, I just appreciate him for doing that, and just over the years, as he's done that, we've been able to just grow. I see him, obviously I don't see my coaches as friends, but I see him as somebody I can go talk to. I see him as somebody that I can just really have a relationship for years to come.
Seth, right side, first row.
Seth, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. The evolution of your role this season, just how you see yourself going into 2024-25.
To step into a role of being a much bigger leader than I was last year, just to play a more complete game this year, to play my game. That's one thing that me and Coach Davis discuss all the time, is just to do me, play free, play whatever it is. And I think the biggest thing I have to do this year is lead. RJ is our guy, is our leader, is the one who we look up to. But he can't be the only one. If he's the only one, then this year won't go well. So I really got to step into that role.
Seth, as a follow-up to that, last year you were third in voting for the ACC Sixth Man of the Year. This year, do you have something to prove?
Absolutely. I was third, but that doesn't really mean too much to me. I hear the doubt, I hear the criticism, and I don't really listen to that. But I have a lot to prove for myself, the player I know I can be, the player that I know I can be for this team. So there's a lot of motivation going into this year.
Other questions for Seth from the room? Seth, back to TJ, right side, third row.
Seth, more than likely we could see you in a starting role. So my question is, what do you expect, how do you expect your role to change from sixth man to that starting role?
Not much changes. I just start out the game. That's the only way I see it. That's really it. I just start the game with the best offensive player. I start the game, just doing me. So that's it.
Anything else for Mr. Trimble? We'll take the last one, first row to your left, Seth.
What was your best memory of the last few seasons?
Honestly, the whole season last year, 2023-2024 season, was truly, genuinely one of the greatest times in my life. It's the second everybody got here on campus, the bond and the brotherhood and just the friendship that we all had within the team. It was truly one of a kind. I wish you could all experience something I experienced. But beating Duke, I think at Duke, at home and at Duke, obviously were the two biggest things that stuck out to me most this last year. It wasn't something that I had done my freshman year, and it was just a huge motive for us. We wanted our get-backs, and we made sure we got them. So we had a very good time with that.
Seth, thank you. North Carolina, good luck this year.
Thank you.